Hello and welcome to this video where we'll be taking a look at a recent Virgin Media XGS PON install at my house. So first of all, if we just take a look, because so Virgin Media is a UK-based ISP and network operator. Been going for many years. They started off in the cable TV era, where back in the sort of 80s, 90s, there was multiple cable networks, and they were basically merged into what's now become Virgin Media. And what a lot of people may not realise is there's actually three types or technologies that Virgin Media use to deliver their broadband. So there's the oldest type, which is the hybrid fibre coaxial, or HFC. That's where it is fibre to your sort of local street cabinet here, and then the sort of last miles where it is delivered via a coaxial cable, and it's using the DOCSIS technology. And this is where a lot of, because Virgin Media gets a lot of bad press, and I believe a lot of this comes from this older network, because it's a hybrid fibre network. You're not getting fibre all the way to the property, and DOCSIS, as great as it is at delivering sort of high speed, it can support up to 1 gig at the moment, but there is a lot of problems with it, because obviously using the aging coaxial copper cables, you have increased latency, jitter, and a lot of congestion as well in these sort of older deployments. So that'll be what the oldest product in the old sort of cable areas. And then slightly newer is FTTP RFOG, which essentially is a fibre optic cable that comes to your property, in this case the outside of your property. So it brings a fibre closer, so instead of being terminating a street cabinet, it comes to your property. But at this stage, it converts it back into a coaxial connection. So it's known as RF over glass. So it's essentially still using DOCSIS, but instead of it using coaxial from your street cabinet to your house, it's using fibre optic. This can alleviate a lot of the sort of problems with the coaxial cabling, because you only got that short run from the outside of property into where your router is, but you still got the limitations of DOCSIS. But at the moment, the main limitation is the upload speeds, which are still capped at around 104 megabits a second on the Gig 1 package. But at least it brings a fibre closer to your property anyway. The latest one now is a proper full fibre network, and that's using the XGS PON technology. And XGS PON is a 10 gigabit symmetrical capable passive optical network. What that basically means is that you get fibre optic all the way to your router, so there's no copper involved at all until you get to your router. It doesn't rely on the old DOCSIS or anything like that, and you'll typically be sharing your fibre connection with it's usually 32 up to 32 other users. But you're sharing a 10 gig symmetric connection, so congestion is generally not a problem on here. It is possible to be congested, but it's less likely than on the old DOCSIS or fibre coaxial network of old. And XGS PON is what's used by a lot of the altnets building their full fibre connections. But the main other competitor to Virgin Media, Openreach, use the older GPON standard, which can only support server speeds just over 2 gig down, and just over 1 gig up on each PON split. So yes, that's why OpenReach is still asymmetric. So yeah, so the big differences is you can now get in these XGS PON areas, you now can get a symmetric connection. It's a £6 add-on with Virgin Media, but it is worth it if you need symmetric upload speeds. And as well as that, they do now support a 2 gig connection. There's a Gig 2 package. Again, this is exclusive to XGS PON areas. The main XGS PON builds are coming under the Nexfibre build. So Nexfibre is essentially a altnet, but it's owned or infested by the same parent company, Liberty, who also own Virgin. It's a bit messy, but essentially Nexfibre are using Virgin Media contracts to build a network. So if you're looking out in the field, all intents and purposes, it's Virgin Media. Unless you look deeper into it, into like the street parents and all that, then you might see Nexfibre come up. But yeah, so but they are building quite fast across the country in areas that Virgin Media have never been to before, including my area in Shrewsbury. So yeah, so those are the main advantages. It is a proper full fibre network, so you don't get any of those issues you did on DOCSIS or RFAG HFC areas. So yeah, I've got this blog on my website. I'll give you a link to that, which goes into much more detail, and also how you can check if what type of Virgin Media. Well, if you can you get Virgin Media in your area, and if you can, what type is it as well. So there's an example of a Virgin Media Nexfibre AFN, which is what you typically see on a pole or in a chamber underground, and that connects the properties to the network. So I decided to, because like I said, it's recently become available in my area, the new Nexfibre Virgin Media XGS PON. So I thought I'll give it a try, get it installed and see what it's like. So I started writing some blogs on this. So in part one, my website, I've covered basically explain again what it is, and I explained the basically I had a sales rep come to my door and they did me a deal. They did say that some things were available, which later transpires is not the case. But I'll tell you more about that in a bit. But yeah, these are my main requirements. I wanted symmetric speeds. Yeah, Virgin Media now offer this in XGS PON areas. Good latency, XGS PON, so yeah, it should be fine. I want to be able to use my own router. So yeah, there is issues because, as you've made in the previous picture, the Hub 5X that comes included. Basically, that's the difference between some other full fibre providers give you what's called an ONT, which is a box that converts the fibre into an RJ45 copper connection that can plug into any router. Generally speaking, you don't have issues. So you can generally use your own router of a lot of other providers, but with Virgin they give you the Hub 5X, where they put the fibre straight into that, and that is your router. And unlike in the DOCSIS areas, where they've had modem mode working for years on them, they seem to have some problem with the Hub 5X, where the modem mode is a bit hit and miss. So on that one, but there are ways around it. Static public IPv4 address. So so the sales rep did advise originally that was possible. However, there is some confusion about that, and in fact it's not possible. Although saying that, you do get a proper public IPv4 address, it's not CGNAT or anything, and they're quite sticky from what I hear, so that's probably not a massive issue. So that's the start of my journey, and that was last month now, and so yeah, So my install was originally due to take place on the 20th of June of this year, 2024. But when that sort of date rolled round, an engineer did turn up. Then he says, "Oh, I can't do the install." He's asking if this box had been installed, if Comex's been out, and I was like, "No." So the install couldn't take place on that date. And then Virgin called me the next day to rearrange it. The nearest date was the 5th of July, so a couple of weeks later. The important thing to note about that is, I put it in this update here on this blog, because Virgin Media take part in the Ofcom's automatic compensation scheme, you do get covered by that. So if your install gets delayed for whatever reason, you get £6, 10 per day, including the day of the failed install until it's live. And you also get £30 for any missed engineer visits. And also, when you do get the service installed, if you have any problems and the service goes down, you can get some automatic compensation on that, but obviously more on the Ofcom site there. But yeah, so I think it was towards the end of June. Yes, on the 26th of June, I did finally get the sort of pre-install done. So this is how it happened. So you get a pre-install, which takes place before the internal install. So this is all the sort of the outdoor work to getting the fibre to your property ready for the Virgin Media guys to turn up and put the other cable in. So in our area, contract is called Comex 2000, and so I'm fed underground, and in our area it's using what's called PIA, where they use the overreaches ducts. So Virgin Media, when they came to install, next fibre, they didn't have to dig up the street or anything. So in some areas they dig up the street and put these little Toby boxes, and they then will have to dig up your drive or lawn or whatever to get it to your house. But in my case, it's all underground, without having to dig up anything, which is quite lucky. So you can see this is my chamber in the street here, and that's the Virgin Media AFN where I'm connected to now, and that's the full Fibre Heroes CBT that I'm also connected to. I was made live on that last year. Again, I've got videos and blogs on that as well. So that was a closer picture of the AFN. So they use this sort of straw method. So what they did was they first of all rodded the duct between the house and the chamber to make sure it's clear, and then they push through a what they call a straw or tube, and then once that was through, they then used an air compressor air blower machine to blow a thin fibre through that tube. So then it came out the other end. So this is the end in the street where it goes into the AFN, also known as a CBT. So that connects into there, and then for the connection from there then goes back into the cabinets, and then eventually into the main OLT cabinet back, to get your internet. So and so this is them checking the light levels. So minus 16.8 ODB, well within the range. It's only when it gets to about minus 20 and lower than that is when you start to get problems on a XGS PON connection. So that's well within the spec there. And you see it's on the 1550 nanometer, which is the wavelength of the light that's used for XGS PON. So what they do is, the other end, so you saw the end of the street and my chamber, the other end is they install this box on your house, and this is where the other end of the fibre comes up from that straw. You can see that's the straw, and then that's so how thin that cable is coming through there. They neatly spool it up into here, and then there's essentially a connector, which you'll see in the main video now, that the Virgin Media installer connects another cable to go into your house. So that was the pre-install. So now let's take a look at the Virgin Media install. So here we are on install day. I had a friendly Virgin Media installer, Dara, turn up. So the first thing he did was plug in this device into the fibre that's come from the street. You can see that's plugged into an SFP module, and what he's doing is he's checking that everything's hooked up at the cabinet end, so we obviously not just getting the light through, but also getting a connection to the correct cabinet ready for the install. As you can see, it's got a green light on links, so you've got the physical light is lit up and the link. So yeah, that all looks good. And there we are. There's Dara coming to unplug the machine. And then next, here's a close-up of that. Well, it's not a custom, kind of custom splice tray, but it's not. There's a splicing and fold here, so yes, that's where we've got the connector ready to connect to the internal cable. So that's the external cable you're looking at there from the street. So here we are inside the garage from having it installed. We're drilling a hole to feed the fibre cable from the outside of the garage to the inside. So drill a big hole there. And next, Dara installs the mounting bracket for the fibre faceplate, the internal fibre faceplate. So here we are. It's a grand job there. So there's the mounting bracket. There we are, and there's a close-up of the faceplate there. So it's got so they're using the LC APC termination of the fibre. So here we are back outside now. So yes, that's the cable there, and they're going to push the cable in from the outside to inside. There it is, comes through nicely for that tube. And it's got that cap on there to protect it from damage and dirt. It's all very slick. And there we are. That's the cable there. So he's removing the end now and installing an LC connector on the end of that, ready to connect to the back of the faceplate. That's basically we call a duplicate connector there. So there we are. So it's now in place, and he's going to secure it with a couple of screws just to secure that in place. And you see he's already connected the one end of the internal cable there. So that's all ready. So there's a nice close-up of the faceplate installed with the fibre connected. And now we come to the outside. So that's the cable coming from the outside of the garage, so from the other side. So he's put some caulk in there to stop stuff coming through, so that's nice. And here he is just tacking the cable en route to the outside termination box. And now, yeah, he's just putting the last few clips on the wall. Just close the box so we can get round there. It's all nice and neat. And now he's going to feed that fibre cable, so that's obviously the one that's coming from the garage or the inside. He's now pulling that through, pulling all the slack through. So there's no slack on the outside, it's all just like the cable coming from the street. It's all going to be wrapped up neatly inside that termination box. Which explains why that box is so big. You can see that. So the cable he's using now is like an armoured cable for outside, so it is rather durable. So you might think he's handling it quite, because the fibre can be quite delicate, but the outer black cable there is rather strong. It's the internal cable that's weak. So he's removing the cap there, and again insert another connector, LC connector there, and then last bit for the outside here is so you connect it to that coupler. So that's connecting it to the fibre coming up from the street, from that AFN we saw earlier in the chamber. And he closes the box, and that's it from the outside. And back inside, he's now plugging it into a light meter to make sure we're getting light coming through. So you can see it's getting about minus 18 now, which is a couple of dB lower than the outside, but when we saw it on the street, but it's still within spec, so that's fine. It's because we've added obviously the extra cable on there. And then he's unpacking the router, so the Hub 5X. And there's the Hub 5X installed in the cabinet. So usually at this stage, obviously you'll activate the broadband from his end, and then usually he would show you, he would get it set up and give you like a demonstration and make sure the Wi-Fi is everything is working okay. In my case, because I've got obviously a more technical setup and that I'm technical, we sort of skipped a lot of that. I just basically did a quick Wi-Fi test for my phone to make sure that the internet was actually working. Generally really pleased with the install. It was done in less than an hour, and Dara was really friendly, and he did an excellent job. So 5 stars to him. So that's a look at the Virgin Media install, Virgin Media XGS PON install, I should say. In the next video, we'll look at do a sort of a review of the service, how it got on since the install, to see what's the speed's like, what's latency like, just what's it been like generally, and everything like that. So stay tuned for that one. But in the meantime, check out some other videos I've got on my channel to do with sort of full fibre and everything. Have a look at my website, the bugs I've got on this as well. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye.